Welcome one and all to Monday Night Nerd. Thank you so much for joining me. It is a pleasure to be here on your YouTube screen. My name is Myers Corp Cosplay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are really excited. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the DCEU and where all these movies rank. There are 16 movies we're going to go through tonight. Which ones were the best? Which ones were the worst? And where's the Flash? Because everyone says that's the worst. But is it the worst? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. But first, we're going to start off with a little bit of news because if you're a nerd, last night was really, really important to you. If you're a nerd, if you're a comic book fan, last night was fun, or this morning was fun whenever you got to see it. And that was Taylor Swift won herself a Super Bowl. Yes, Taylor Swift won herself a Super Bowl last night, folks. The Taylor Swifts beat the San Francisco 49ers. I'm kidding. It was a good game. I'm a football fan, but I did tune in. It was a good football game. I did find it really funny seeing the coincidentalness, let's call it, of how the game ended, because everyone thought this would be such a storybook ending, and that it went to overtime. It went to almost the end of the first quarter of overtime. I gotta admit, the amount of hate I've seen for Kelsey and Taylor Swift, like, I don't pay attention to it, but I've seen so many people upset about this. Folks, it is the most stereotypical story that anyone has ever seen. It's the well, he's not a quarterback, but he's the football player and the cheerleader getting together. Like, why is everyone hating this so much? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, Super Bowl last night was really good. It was a good football game. However, the thing that was the most important, if you're a nerd, was Deadpool 3 trailer dropped during the Super Bowl, and there were spoilers throughout the life of this movie. Throughout the filming of this, everyone took photos. You knew cameo after cameo, but there were things in this trailer that I did not see coming. I don't know if I should spoil it because, well, I mean, screw it. You can watch the trailer. Him being involved with the TVA is interesting. I'm very interested to see how that. Obviously, they tell he's going to be fixing the multiverse, which is a really cool concept. You know that there's going to be so much cameos and such in the movies, which does worry me a little bit because there is a movie on this list tonight that falls very flat because of that you had to do a lot of work to understand the references in that movie, and I worry that Deadpool might have the same problem. The scope of the DCEU, of the MCU, when it comes to a fan base is a lot bigger than the DCEU, but I still worry a little bit. I feel like I'd be a hypocrite if I said something bad about one movie, but then praise the other movie for doing it. So, but it was a great trailer. It's making me really excited. I think it's July 26th that comes out. It is going to be such a fun time at the movies. I'm definitely going opening night. I've been to the other two opening night, and I will be there for opening as well. I might actually wear my Deadpool mask. That is one of my first costume pieces that I ever bought. I know a guy who makes wrestling masks because I used to train to be a wrestler, and I met him through people. And I actually got a wrestling mask of the Deadpool mask, and I love the thing. I think he sold a couple since then. He never really thought about doing superhero type stuff, but he's actually, because of that, he's made a couple for other people, wrestlers actually. But yeah, that was my first purchase. So I might wear that mask to the premiere because I feel it's appropriate. But yeah, really good trailer. Really makes everyone excited for the movie. Next little piece of news before we jump into the list. If you're a PlayStation fan, you have a whole bunch of games probably coming your way soon that you may not have touched. I am a huge PlayStation fanboy, and I gotta admit, though, I was a little upset to hear the rumor that Xbox is probably going to be pulling their self out of the video game market when it comes to systems and just be a publisher. The rumor going around right now is that Xbox is focusing just on games. They're losing too much money on their consoles, and they're simply going to do their Game Pass and just allow PlayStation users and probably Switch users to download all the games. So if you've never played Halo, if you've never played Gears of War, if you've never played Fable, all of these games will be coming to the PlayStation Network sooner or later. Will they be their own separate pass? Will they be something else? I don't know, but that is the rumor going around right now. I know Xbox has a event coming up, I think in the next week or two, where they will probably be talking about it. It's kind of sad because that was always the rivalry for over 2 decades, I feel, of PlayStation, Xbox going head to head since the PlayStation 2. And we've come to a point now where PlayStation has just outbeat them when it comes to systems and exclusivity. I was thinking about it a couple days ago. Besides those 3 franchises, there isn't much else that I would really want to play on an Xbox. Killer Instinct, the remake, was really good. All the rare stuff from the N64, so Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, all those will now probably be available on PlayStation. So it's going to be kind of crazy to have all those on the PlayStation. I'm excited. I will probably be binging Halo and Gears of War because I've always wanted to. But yeah, it should be good. Natasha in chat, I'm a big PlayStation fan, but I haven't upgraded yet to the PS5. Still happy with my PS4. I love my PS5. I held on to my PS4 as long as I could because I have the PlayStation Plus and I'm not as big of a gamer as I used to be. I would always have some overlay. So I would still have some games going in the background, and they would just sit there. And I feel like if I got a new system, I wouldn't be able to play those old ones. Now with the PlayStation 5, I can play all those old ones when I want to and still play the new ones. So, and Horizon Zero Dawn made me really want to play it. Zero Dawn was the PS4. Horizon New Dawn is the new one. But yeah, that I made a switch about 2 years ago and I love it. Then we've got Natasha in, right? Still Nintendo going strong. Yes. Nintendo. I've been playing my wife's Switch like crazy lately. With Christmas, I got Yoshi's Crafted World. I got Mario Wonder, and I picked myself up Mario RPG, and I'm playing the hell out of RPG right now. I am loving it. So I get it. Xbox is the one I just never went to. I actually, Fan Expo, I want to say 2017, 2016, at the EB booth. If you're in Toronto, they used to have a big electronics boutique booth, and they had Xbox 360s, full consoles, controllers, everything for $15. They were just getting rid of them, and I picked one up. I loved it. I was so excited. Well, I was so excited to have it. I got home, I plugged it in, started a profile, and was like, I'm never gonna touch this. I have too many PlayStation things to play. So I returned it because I didn't want to just start buying Xbox games and I'm sitting on a shelf. So it says, how is RPG? RPG is amazing. I've played it probably 5 different times in my life. I played it when I was renting it from the Blockbuster. I played it when it came out on emulator. I played it on the mini Nintendo. I'm now playing it on the Switch. I love that game. I've never fully beat it though. I've always come to a point where something else has caught my interest. That is not going to happen with this. I'm running through the whole thing and loving every minute of it. They've changed some things about it, which I love. You can definitely switch back certain things. The music is different, but you can switch the soundtrack back to the original, which I really enjoy. But overall, loving it from top to bottom. And I think I'm about halfway through it, so a little bit of time left on it. What I'm hearing is a big RPG. And that's the thing. I'm a big Mario RPG fan. Overall, though, I'm not an RPG fan. I don't like RPGs. I don't like Final Fantasies. I don't like any of those games. The only RPG games I like are like offshoots of other games that are RPG. I love the South Park games. Those are RPGs. And I loved Mario RPG. I've played Final Fantasy VII probably 3 times, and I'm bored to tears in about 10 minutes. I don't know what it is. I should play that again. I keep saying I should play it because I know how much everyone loves it. Last little bit of news before we jump into the DCEU ranking. Push Up Challenge. I am still doing the push-up challenge. I'm gaining my guns, as you can see. Liar. It's been fun. It's been tough. The goal was to get 70 a day. Definitely not getting 70 every day. I've had to take a couple rest days. I think I'm just at 500. I did 20 earlier. So probably by the end of the night, it should be about 550. Don't think I'm going to hit 2,000. If I do, I'm going to be very happy, but I highly doubt it based on how many I can do without falling over. What my thought is probably around 10 o'clock on the 29th, which let me quadruple check before I open my big mouth in front of everybody. 31st. Yeah, 31st is a Friday. Or nope, that's May. Let me try that again. 29th. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, 29th is a Thursday. So Thursday, probably around 10 o'clock, I'm going to go live on my Instagram, and I'm just going to go as many as I can and try and bust out, 50, 60 in an hour and just try and get as much as I can done to get that final burst in at the end. Am I going to be doing more than I should? Probably. Am I going to probably be taking a few minutes and just sitting there and talking? Probably, but more protein. I have my protein powder downstairs, Edith. I need to, you know what? I do need to eat more of it. Actually, I made a ton of protein over the weekend. I've got two containers full of chicken breasts. I made a shepherd's pie. We have HelloFresh this week, so I am proteined out of my mind this week. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I definitely want to stress that this is not something that's probably going to stop as of February. I want to keep doing this. I do feel better. I've had a bad neck and bad back my whole life since jumping off a roof. So this is definitely helping. So I think, what a shock. Physical fitness helps. Crazy. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to be doing stuff like this after. Probably not going to keep tracking of it because you guys are probably going to get tired of my Instagram stories. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. We're definitely going to keep pushing towards as close to 2,000 as I can by the end. Folks, that is it for the news. Now we're going to jump into the main event. But first, we have to do our sponsor. As always, my sponsor, if you're new to this channel, is my beautiful, loving, amazing wife. If it wasn't for her, I would not be here. I would not be doing this. I would not be doing all of this amazing show, this amazing house, this amazing family if it wasn't for my wife. I am a very different person now because of her. She means the world to me. I love her so much, and you will always be my sponsor, hon. I love you. Thank you. If you're still here, folks, thank you so much. If you could hit the like button, thank you, folks, for chatting. It means so much to me to know that you guys are engaged and enjoying. Thank you, Edith. I'm glad you're so proud of me. Thank you. If you could hit the like button on the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, hit all those things. It means a lot to me. It shows you guys are enjoying the show. It shows me that you guys want more of this content, and that makes me feel good inside, because if you don't like it, then when I get looking at ideas for new episodes and I see nobody liked it, then I'm not going to do it again. So that's how I know you like it, is hitting that like button. Here we go. Let's go through this list. One thing before we start this list that caught my attention. There was one movie on this list that I hadn't seen when I announced this. When I announced this, I went, cool, I've seen every DCEU. Let's talk about it. And then I opened the list and I went, oh, I missed one. So this weekend I watched one of them and it caught my attention. At the beginning, at the, how Marvel has their opening thing where they go through the logo and it shows the movies. DC has the same thing, but it's the silhouettes of all the characters. There's Batman, Everyone that's shown in that is in one of the movies except Green Lantern. He's in the intro, but he's never in the entire DCEU universe. There is one reference to a Green Lantern in the Justice League, but that's it. They never mention him, but he's in the bloody intro. Justice for Green Lantern. Man, I feel like Rodney Dangerfield. The guy gets no respect. But that caught me, just made me laugh even more that this entire DCU universe was hilarious. All right, let's pop up this list. We're going to go from 16 up to number 1. Now, the question I put in the thumbnail and in the post, is Flash the worst? Because it has had the worst publicity. It has been scrutinized left, right, and center. Do I believe that is the worst? No. The worst is the one that I watched recently because I forgot that this movie even existed. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam number 2 is the worst. And that's not just because I missed it. It happens. But wow, when I sat down and watched this, I realized very quickly why I had not seen this movie. So the storyline is very it's weird. So the three I honestly I can't even remember what they're called. The three sisters, let's call them of the apocalypse, steal the scepter that created Shazam and the family. And yes, I'm spoiling this, and I don't care because I highly doubt if you haven't seen it, you're not going to. They steal the scepter, and the scepter can take away the powers of the Shazam family. And it is a weak plot, to say the least. Zach Levi is an idiot. And I don't mean him. I mean Shazam is an idiot in this movie. Him as a kid is smarter than this. You see him Billy Batson walking around, and he's making trying to bring his family back together because they've all kind of separated and gone their own ways. He's trying to bring them all together and make them, a family again, because he's never had a family. He's an orphan. This is his first family he's had together. And then he turns into Shazam and it's a moving pen. He's like a 2-year-old with keys jingling in front of him. It is so sad to see it. And the villains are forgettable. The ending, wow. I thought Aquaman was bad, and we will get to Aquaman. But the ending, and yes, I'll spoil it. I don't care. The ending of this movie is he sacrifices himself. Just like Superman. He sacrifices himself to save the city. And he's gone. He's literally buried. And who shows up? Diana, Wonder Woman, puts her power into the staff, and the staff revives Shazam, and he's back to normal. Wow, what a bad ending. I am surprised that I would love to have seen this movie in a theater just to see the reaction, because I can just imagine the crickets that happen. Like, I don't understand how her god powers bring the scepter back to life and that gives Shazam his powers, but like, it is so many plot holes, and I'm pretty good at forgiving certain plot holes, but this one was, you could drive a 747 through this thing. It was such a long movie. There was a point where I paused it and I'm like, cool, we got half hour. No, we're not even at the half point. We're about an hour and a half still in this thing. So it was bad. It is number 16, deserving. Number 15, I think you can kind of tell based on my recent critique of this. Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, Aquaman 2. In chat, Tara says, I haven't watched Shazam either. Natasha, I haven't seen it myself. And that is my point. If you haven't seen it, you're not missing anything, so don't worry. Shazam 2, number 15, it just squeaked by. Momoa as Aquaman works to a point, and that is one of the only things that makes this movie better than Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It is sad to see the DCEU go out with such a whimper on this ending. It did not go out with a bang. It did not go with a triumphant applause. it's sad to think that even like the X-Men franchise with Rise of the Phoenix was a better ending to a franchise. And even that wasn't planned to be an ending than this was. The story, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan and you've played Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance on the PlayStation 2, you've seen Aquaman Lost Kingdom. It's basically Onaga the Dragon King. It is such a Black Manta gets his own undead army. Like, why? Mira is all over the place, which shocked me based off how much blowback they got for Amber Heard being in the movie. And I remember reading an article of them saying she was cut from part of the movie. What part she was cut from, I have no idea, because she was in every bit of this movie. It was a joke. It was a complete waste of a character. Momoa acts like Lobo more than Aquaman. There's literally a point where he's riding around in a motorcycle, laughing hysterically. It's Lobo, 100%. So having him be cast in the new universe as Lobo makes so much sense, but doing that was just a complete slap in the face to the franchise. I couldn't stand this movie. My wife was just laughing at it. Yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And I'm glad it's over. That is the best way to say it. By the end of the movie, I'm so glad it was over. Natasha in chat says she was only cut from the trailer because they wanted people to think she was cut from the movie. Honestly, I believe it. I believe it because I could not pick out a scene in the movie where she could have been in it. Like, if they swapped a character, I don't know where, because every point that he was alone, he looked like he was meant to be alone. Anytime he had her with him or had another character, they looked like they should have been there. So I don't know. It was a joke. And sadly, I loved the first Aquaman movie, and we will talk more about that in a bit, but that was such a bad ending to that franchise. Number 14, and I say this proudly while wearing my Dwayne The Rock Johnson shirt. Black Adam is number 14. I think this was the moment where a lot of people saw the cracks in the DCEU. I think a lot of people were forgiving with things like the Justice League and Suicide Squad to a point and stuff like that. But this was the moment where a lot of people went, okay, this is a problem. The Rock looks like Black Adam. Like, I can't say anything about that. He has got the physique. He's got the facial features. He looks like Black Adam. But again, the story is a mess. The idea can we just all agree that this whole idea of doing a movie around an anti-hero being a hero is a bad idea? Let me modify that. Having a villain be an anti-hero, being a hero, don't do it. Don't do it anymore. It is failed over and over and over. This failed. Venom failed. Craven is gonna fail. I can tell you now. It is a joke. Stop it. Have your villains be your villains. That is why people get into villains, is because they are villains. The kid in this movie, I wanted to just strangle him. He was annoying. The side cast was forgettable. Dr. Fate with Pierce Brosnan was such an amazing choice. He fit the character so well, and it was wasted. This was the only DCU movie that I could not finish. I honestly had to stop watching. I have seen the ending through YouTube and online, but watching it at my house on my TV in the comfort of my own home, I could not finish it. And it sucks because I'm a big Dwayne Johnson fan. I'm a big Rock fan from when I'm a wrestling fan. So I grew up with him, and I've got Under Armour Rock shirts, shoes. I drink Zoas. I'm not a fanboy, but he makes good stuff. But yeah, it was a joke, and I feel bad for him. I don't feel it was all him. I do feel like he did play a factor, though, so I can't wipe him clean of it. He did play a point. He did play a part in it. But yeah, it was the moment we all realized there was a problem. So we've got 3 movies here. We've got Black Adam, we've got Aquaman Lost Kingdom, and we've got Shazam Fury and the Gods. And now is the point where we mention the movie that everyone thinks is the worst. But honestly, I don't think it's the worst, because there are 2 things in this movie that make it good: Michael Keaton and Supergirl. Those are the 2 things. Those things make this movie better. The Michael Keaton being back, whether he did nothing in the movie, whether he just walked by the camera and waved, would have made this better. But the way they used him was good. Having him back and saying all the hit lines of "I want to get nuts" and "I'm Batman" and all those things, referencing his old movies, great fan service. It was a great idea to bring him in. I wish I could remember the actress who played Supergirl. She did a great job. I feel so bad for her. She was so happy to get that role. I remember seeing a video of them announcing it to her, and she's crying. But it just, they're both wasted. Silky C says Keaton made my day in that movie. Natasha, I fell asleep watching The Flash. There was definitely moments that I was on my phone. Ezra Miller is Ezra Miller. Like, we can't do anything. It's been talked about 1,000 times of what they are, what they've become as an actor, all the stuff in their private life. That's another topic. We're not going to go about that. We're just going to talk about the movie. They're annoying as hell in the movie. Like, they were annoying when they were just the Flash, but then having them come back and be an alternate universe, an annoying version of that already annoying character, like, no, I'm sorry. That was way too much for a lot of people, including myself. The story had no weight to it. It was a movie that everyone knew it wasn't going to play a factor into the overall process. You knew at the end it wasn't going to make a difference what happened. And I'm not saying that everything has to. You don't have to have a Marvel. Everything doesn't have to be Marvel, and everything has to be connected. But the way they've done this DCEU of things are connected, things aren't connected, that's the most frustrating part. If you want to do Batman like the 90s and have a new movie, and every new movie has a new Batman and a new Robin and all that, great. Love it. If you want to have everything connected, great. Make sure to follow a script and a timeline and all the things that mean something. But don't flip, because then you start confusing your audience. And that's what this was. And at the end, having the big cameo scene with all the past Flash, all the past Batman and Superman, and ones that never even really existed, the Nicolas Cage one based off the Kevin Smith script. If you hadn't seen any of these movies or know the backstory, it means nothing to you. Like, I highly doubt anyone saw the George Reeves Superman. If you're any younger than I am, it meant nothing to you. There's even the Keaton stuff. If you don't know Batman and Batman Returns, or, seen those movies, you might have known those movies, but if you haven't seen those movies, those lines mean nothing. It's just a cameo to make fans happy. Diehard fans that are already probably going to see the movie anyways, seeing as he's in it. But yeah, it was a sad movie. I think also because you already had a Flash like Grant Gustin, who did a great job on the TV show. You could have easily thrown him in here, but they picked Ezra. And I think they all realized they made a really bad choice by picking Ezra Miller. Number 12. How many people forgot about this movie? Because I sure as heck did. Birds of Prey and the blah, 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 blah of Harley Quinn. This was forgettable. But not the worst. Not the worst. I think things like Margot Robbie being Harley Quinn were great. Harley as there's been different ways they've done Harley. They've done Harley as the Joker's sidekick, who was probably not the best way to write her, as she always gets abused. You have the Harley from the animated show now, which is amazing, which is very independent, strong. She falls in love with Ivy. Spoilers. Great interpretation. Margot Robbie's is just as good, I feel. And I feel like this one cemented her as the Harley that a lot of people are going to remember. And I think are really going to be pushing for in the new DCEU. I think this is going to be something that James Gunn might have to bring over, because I think we're still enjoying this too much that I think if you recast, you'd really have a problem. Margot does an amazing job in this, especially because she doesn't have Joker to play off of. She's a very independent character at this point. She does think about the Joker and she's bring up the Joker, but she's not caring as much as in another movie that we'll talk about later. She does a great job. Honestly, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask is a good villain. He is one of the few villains, and again, is sadly forgotten, where he's actually kind of scary. He's a little quirky, which I get, and based off the comic book, it's a little bit of a different interpretation, but he was a pretty intimidating villain. I was very happy with the way he did it. Unfortunately, this falls into the same category as a lot of these movies, and that is the storyline was a waste. There wasn't a lot of deep storyline. I feel that the thought of having just a Harley movie would have been a better idea. You know, the movie's called Birds of Prey, but I feel like all of them, Huntress, the other ones, I can't even remember. Those ones are all in the background when you have such a big character like Harley Quinn up on the screen. Yes, Tara, Ewan was in Birds of Prey. He was the villain. Black Mask, the famous villain from Batman, was the villain in that, and a lot of people forget that he was in it. It was a waste, but I feel like the performance of Harley Quinn and Black Mask were things that stood out from that movie, and I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I just feel like, again, it was a little bit of a waste. The funny thing that I'll always remember that movie is my buddy Sean and I watched it, and at the end of the movie, we stood up, and there were, I don't know how, I don't know why, but there were broken pearls on the ground in front of us. And I'm just like, we literally watched a movie about Batman characters, and the broken pearls are sitting. Martha was shot, I think, in front of where we were sitting at the theater. So it will always hold a special piece of my heart for that. But yeah, that was a little bit of a forgettable movie, but still a fun one. The next one, the big one that everyone thought was going to take this entire space into a new frontier, and that was Justice League. And we all know what happened with that. Now, just so you all know, both versions of Justice League are on this list. I'm not lumping them together because they are two different movies, technically. I have thoughts about that, but we're not going to get into that. Justice League. I was very excited to see this because I was very excited to see the Avengers. Avengers is one of my favorite Marvel movies because it was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was a giant team-up movie when we've never had a giant team-up movie. So seeing the thought of having Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and all these guys together in one movie was super exciting. The problem is you need a movie to do it. You can't just throw them all together and get someone to have a good time. And honestly, there's a couple things in this movie that I really enjoyed. That pose of them, you're looking up at all of them standing there, is one of the most iconic poses I've ever seen in a comic book movie. And it really did make me feel a little bit like the Avengers movie. Like, this is the first time we're seeing all these guys together on one screen. There was a line in this movie that really caught my attention. It'll always stick with me. And this is one thing that they cut out of the Snyder cut, which I wish they didn't. I think they should have kept this in here because of the impact it had. Some hostages are being attacked by parademons, and the Justice League is trying to take them out. And this is Flash's first real mission. And he's worried he can't do it. And there's a moment where Batman grabs him and holds him and says, "Don't think about saving all of them. Just save one." And that line hit me so hard of, that is exactly how to take that situation. And that is also a great technique for dealing with anxiety. The thought of, I can't change everything, I can just focus on one thing. Perfect line, perfect scene. And it really made me feel connected with Flash of, he's overwhelmed, and this is him centering himself of, if I can save one, that's important, and then maybe I can save others. Such a good line. However, the storyline again is confusing. The way they bring back Superman is, I'll also say the scene of Clark seeing slowing down as the Flash is running past him is a cool scene. But that is a split second. The Cyborg is wasted in this movie, which sucks. We'll see more about him later. But yeah, just, it's such an easy, I don't want to, okay, I can't say it's easy, but it's such an easy concept to me of, you have all of these amazing superheroes together, and I feel like they pigeonholed themselves with the death of Superman, that they had to bring that into it. I feel if they didn't pigeonhole themselves with a previous movie, you would have been able to work with it, but they just had to work with what they had, and I feel like that they had to put it in somehow, and I feel like if they didn't, it would have been so much better. But overall, it's not a terrible movie. It's watchable. There are other versions better that we will talk about, but Justice League, it was our first DC team up, and it was what it was. This one hurt me a bit because I wanted this one to be better, and it was, when we got another version of it, and that was the Suicide Squad. Nope, let's call it what it is, Suicide Squad, because the Suicide Squad will be further up the list. Suicide Squad looked amazing from the get-go. The idea of having someone like a Harley Quinn with an amazing performance by Margot Robbie, having Will Smith be Deadshot, having Killer Croc in this with practical effects, I'll admit, but it was such a good idea. Will Smith is great in this movie. I can't, again, we're not talking about personal things. We're not talking about award ceremonies and stuff. Will Smith is good as Deadshot in this movie. Margot Robbie is great in this movie as Harley Quinn. Amanda Waller is amazing in this movie. Viola Davis does a killer job in this movie. Her performance made me a fan of that character. I didn't like that character in the comics. I felt like she was too much of an a-hole. But this one, I felt like she was an a-hole, but there was an underlying reason for it. And that's the turn. That's how well you know it's a good villain. When you know they're doing bad, but you sympathize and understand with them a little bit. That's all you need. And she did a great job. Natasha in chat says, I think it's a love-hate movie for a lot of people. I agree. I agree 100%. I think this is a love-hate movie. It's so many good ideas in it, but there's so many faults with it. The villain, having a villain like Enchantress, I feel like you had a lot of potential with a villain like Enchantress, but it was such a waste. I feel like even the Injustice game with the DLC for Enchantress had a better look to the character, had a better idea of the character. This was just, I am a big fan of the online series, The Nostalgia Critic. If you've never seen it, check it out. It's incredible. He does movie reviews. They did a they did a review of this movie, and they do their version of it, and the girl who's doing Enchantress is just doing this the whole time, and it is so true. She just acts like a belly dancer the whole time and just is in perpetual motion, and I totally agree that is how the character looked to me even before I saw that. It was the characters. The biggest problem with this movie, I feel, is when you saw that original lineup of the characters with the dark screen, I was so excited for those, but you can just see, looking at them standing still, no background on the movie, you're going to die early, you're going to die early, you're going to die early. And that's exactly what happened. I'm like, Will Smith, Deadshot, you're surviving. Margot Robbie, you're surviving. Killer Croc, you're surviving. Katana, you're probably not surviving. Hangman, you're probably not surviving. There were obviously ones that you just knew were going to bite the bullet. And at least the newer one, we knew that going in. And we knew that there were some that weren't going to make it very long. But that was why they were written. To have a team up shot like that, like these are all going to make it. No, I knew they were going to die. And I was pretty much right on every one of them. But yeah, I do agree with what Natasha said. It is sort of a love-hate movie with a lot of people. It has its good points. The opening scene, the Deadshot opening scene with him on the firing range, I love it. I've watched that scene 100 times. Him just firing at that metal over and over and over again until he breaks through is such a good scene. This is one of the few movies, and you're all probably going, why? I've seen this movie twice in theaters, and you're probably wondering why. So I saw this with a group of friends, and then I ended up seeing it again because a buddy of mine, Sean, wanted to see Godzilla versus Kong at the drive-in, and this was this double feature. This was a second movie. This was a movie I didn't think was that bad when I first saw it, but after seeing Wonder Woman 84 for the second time, I started to see plot holes. And then when I started seeing reviews, that was when it really, really caught my attention of like, oh, there are holes left, right, and center in this. Wonder Woman 84 it's a competent movie. It feels very similar to what I've said about Thor Love and Thunder, Ant-Man 3, Quantumania. It feels like, and I think Korg says it at the end of Love and Thunder, and that made me think of it. It's another adventure. It's not a big kaboom type movie that has so many it is a competent movie, and that's what this movie is. It's competent, but I feel like it does have its problem. The mall fight at the beginning is amazing. The mall fight is great. Pedro Pascal is Max Schreck. I hope people don't have a problem with that. I can understand you may not like the character, but I think he pulls that off well. I really enjoyed the Max Schreck character when they introduced him in the movie. He plays it very well. He plays a very business sales type guy, and I think that's what the character is. The story, however, along with a lot of the other DC movies, is all over the place. I think if this is this is something that DC has a problem with Batman Returns has this problem. Batman The Dark Knight has this problem for me. The Batman Dark Knight Returns or Dark Knight Rises has this problem. You don't need two villains. You have Max Shrek in this, and you also have Cheetah. Cheetah's a backstory in this movie. She's brought in a little bit, but Max Shrek is the one that everyone's paying attention to. It's a competent movie to me, but then having her do a speech at the end is just, it falls apart. The ending just completely falls apart to me. The ending of her lasso truthing Max Shrek to give all the wishes back. Spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. I'm going to spoil a lot of these little bits, so sorry. But again, it's Wonder Woman 84. If you didn't see it when it first came out, I highly doubt you're waiting for some 4K Blu-ray of this. It didn't dawn on me until I really sat down and thought about this and saw people review it. The idea of Wonder Woman being in a relationship with a stranger who is acting like her old love is weird on so many levels. Especially in today's day and age. Why they thought that was a good idea, I don't understand. I guess it's supposed to be quirky. Doesn't come off quirky when you really think about the logistics of her being with a stranger who has no idea what's going on, but she believes it's an ex-boyfriend. Yeah, it's weird. But it's not the worst movie. I think you can watch this with your brain off and totally enjoy it. Let's jump into number 8. We're at about the 46-minute mark. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do really want to do some points on these last 8 movies. This one, I think a lot of people would have thought would be a lot lower, but I don't mind this as much as a lot of people do. Mainly because this was the introduction of Ben Affleck as Batman. And Ben Affleck as Batman is one of the best Batman. I will say it hands down. He is one of the top 3 Batmen of all time, if not top 2, if not to some people, top 1. An amazing Batman and an amazing... Henry Cavill is good in this. I want to backtrack from saying amazing. He's better in movies that are forward. Natasha chat, Batman versus Superman featuring Wonder Woman. Yeah, kinda. It's that's a big problem in this. It is definitely a cameo, to say the least. I don't think you can. That is the definition of a cameo in a movie. Their fighting is good in this movie. I think they do a great job really showing off the power of Superman, thinking that he could snap Bruce with a click of his fingers, and Bruce going, no, I have a billion tricks under my belt that you have no idea are coming. I really enjoyed that dynamic. The Martha part is laughable, and everyone has made fun of that over the years. Lex Luthor is a joke. I don't know who decided that's the way you're going to play Lex Luthor. That's who you're going to cast as Lex Luthor. But having that be the most intimidating person that's supposed to rival Superman in the future, like, this guy's supposed to intimidate Henry Cavill. Like, there's no way that was going to happen. I'm sorry, but it isn't. Again, I think this is a serviceable movie. The death of Superman at the end wasn't needed. I kind of understand why they did it, because they want to have a really big cliffhanger. They really wanted to bring people back for the next movie, but I don't think it was needed. Everybody's got their problems with Doomsday. I feel like if you did something as close to the comics as what people wanted, I don't know. I still feel like that's a goofy look to Doomsday if you did it in the real world. I think it works really well in the comics, but I think if you try to do that in a CG form, I don't think it would work. So I'll give Doomsday a pass on its look, but you know, overall, Ben Affleck as Batman saves this movie and brings it up higher on the list because it is the introduction of him. Number 7 was the introduction of the DCEU. The Man of Steel Superman was the beginning of this series and was an incredible movie. I still really like this movie. This brought Henry Cavill into the mainstream and made him a generation Superman. And you know what? I will even say he's my Superman. And I've been a Superman fan for years. Like, I remember watching Lois and Clark as a kid, so I can't say anything bad about Henry Cavill. I feel like he's got the best look for it. I feel he's got the best attitude for it. I feel he's intimidating enough, but is also sympathetic enough when he's playing Clark Kent. Superman is a very similar role to Batman. You really have to play 2 roles in that movie. You have to play Superman and you also have to play Clark. He does a very fine line of being the 2. Does he play Superman better than he does Clark? 100%. I feel like it's not perfect, but I feel like for what happens in the movie and everything, I think he does a great job. Zod is a threatening villain. I really do feel like he's a threatening villain in this movie. He is very intimidating. His Zod squad, as I call it, they do a great job. There is way too much destruction in the end. I will fully admit that's a problem. I know a lot of people have a problem with the product placement in this movie where they destroy a Denny's and an IHOP and all those things. I really don't see a problem with those things. I've said in the past, I don't see a problem with product placement if it's done naturally. I feel like if everybody's standing there with drinks with the labels out, that's a problem. But I feel like if you destroy a Denny's, it makes me feel like it's the real world, because if I find it worse when you go into a bar scene and there's a big neon sign in the background that says beer. That's the type of beer I want. Beer. Like, that bugs me. I would rather see them pay a couple bucks to get Molson across it, because that is a beer. But I do agree there is way too much destruction at the end. I know they pull that into the end when it comes to Batman, Superman, and all that. But yeah, I don't like that. The part that makes me laugh the most in this movie is the co-pilot. The co-pilot Zor-El is so funny, and I call him the co-pilot because he is the AI when running around the ship of go left, duck, go right, down that hall. Like, that is perfect. It is comical seeing why they wrote that in, I don't know, but whatever. Yeah, it was a good movie. I don't mind this one. I feel it definitely kicked off the DCEU in the right direction. Does it have flaws? 100%. Do those flaws continue through the rest of the DCEU? 100%. But overall, I think they did a darn good job with this and set up a great universe. Next one is one that I was surprised was as well received for the people that did see it, and I enjoyed it, and that is Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was shockingly good. I had seen the trailers, and I said, like everyone else, I'm like, oh, he's the guy who has a suit, and he has to train in the suit, and then he has to fight someone that's very similar to him. This feels like Iron Man. 100% I did the exact same thing. But really, it was a good movie. I was honestly shocked. I was waiting for it to be, not that I'd seen it before, I saw these after, but I thought it'd be a lot like I felt during The Flash and Aquaman and Shazam, where I was like, this is the end of this. I'm so glad it's over. This is terrible. But no, I actually really enjoyed it. It was a great cast. Everybody in the cast was great. I don't think there was a single person in there that I thought was miscast. They kept it lively. They kept it entertaining. They kept it fun, which the DCEU overall has had a big freaking problem with, is having a movie actually feel fun and enjoyable. The character of Blue Beetle actually looked like he was enjoying having a bloody suit and having powers, which was shocking to me, but I enjoyed it. It obviously was very Iron Man, and especially because it was a suit and you have to do an origin story. That is something you're going to have to play into and is going to follow a lot of the same footsteps as Iron Man, but I feel like they did it differently. Having the organic look, having even the CG on the suit, like there was a lot of practical effects, but I felt the CG was used very well, similar to like Deadpool, where the eyes are obviously not physically moving, but they use those CG'd. Having him create whatever weapons he wants. I love that. I thought it was a great idea. Sadly, like most of the DCU, the villain was forgettable. It was very similar to Iron Man, where it was an Ironmonger type villain that he beats and then he sacrifices himself to the bigger villain. And yeah, it wasn't a great villain. It wasn't a great ending, but overall, it was a fun movie. If you're a hardcore DC fan, you'll really enjoy that there are many references to the original Blue Beetle, and there was a chance until it all ended, that they were going to bring in the old original Blue Beetle into this canon, which I really enjoyed. I really wish they would have done that, because the original Blue Beetle was really good. Noah in chat, Freakish Workshop, said the Blue Beetle was really shallow, which was unfortunate. Agreed. I feel like they could have gone a little more in depth with it. But I feel like they could have done more with it, but I feel like they also knew the writing was on the wall for what was going to happen with the DCEU, so they didn't really put as much into it as they could have done. Number 5, and this is the polar opposite to what I said earlier, and that is Shazam 1 was actually such a good movie. I really enjoyed Shazam. This is what a kid would be like if he got superpowers. It's a kid's movie, and it's a good version of it, which is hard to do, especially in the DCEU, where you didn't have a lot of fun. You had a lot of people who were very miserable to be superheroes. But this was the story of a kid getting superpowers, and Zach Levi plays it so well. He's such a good Shazam. He plays it exactly like a kid would do if he gets, he's invincible. That scene where he's in the convenience store and he gets shot and realized he's invulnerable is exactly how a kid would react. And by the way, I have been to that convenience store. It is about 15 minutes from my house. I've been to that convenience store, and I always walk by it thinking of that moment in the movie. And yes, as Noah says in the chat, the casting was top tier in my opinion. Even Dr. Savannah in that movie was well played. The family was good. The family, the origin story, again, with a lot of these movies, you have to get a lot of that out of the way first before you get into it. But such a good job with the origin story, bringing that character into prominence. Unfortunately, like most, they kind of fell apart in the second movie, but it was, it's a very fun movie. It's a very simple movie. One of the few times where it's such an easy transition, but it works so well with this, when they're just walking as a family and they yell Shazam, and there's just a poof of smoke and they go from being kids into the full-size superheroes. That's a cool look. And they do it seamlessly, and I really enjoy it. Again, it's stupid easy, where it's literally just cover the character, switch the character, and walk out. But it works. It really works in this. So Shazam is definitely in my top 5. I think I've seen it multiple times, if I remember correctly. I think I've at least seen it twice. I may have seen it more, but such a good film. Here we go. This is one where I feel like this should be lower, personally. And I know it's my list, and I could put these lists in any order because screw it, it's my list. I don't see as big of a difference between the original Justice League and the Zack Snyder universe, the Zack Snyder version, as everyone says. I honestly feel like it's the same bloody movie, just longer. Like, that was the biggest thing when people were saying that we want the Snyder cut. We want the Snyder cut. And I said, folks, it's going to be the same movie. It's just going to be longer. And I felt like the things that were that I didn't like about Justice League. I didn't feel like, well, if you just gave me another 20, 30 minutes of it, that would make it better. I felt like you need to change a lot of it. I do appreciate it, though. I do appreciate that this movie is exactly what you think of when you say a graphic novel come to life. This is very dialogue heavy, very story driven, not a lot of bing bang poo poo action as a lot of these movies. It feels very Watchmen-esque. If you're a fan of the Watchmen movie, you will probably enjoy this. I know Jeff Messiah Complex from Geeks and Co. loves this version of it and is a big Watchmen fan. So I know he loves this. Personally, I like it, but this is more of an appreciation. Like I appreciate Watchmen, for example. I appreciate Watchmen. I have the Watchmen graphic novel. It is not something I'm going to pick up on a daily basis or a monthly basis. I read it once. I will probably read it 3 more times in my life, but there are other movies on this that I will watch way more often. But I do appreciate it. It has the same faults, I feel, as the original Justice League. I feel like the addition of Martian Manhunter was nice. I felt like that helped a little bit. Cyborg explained a little more, was nice, but I don't feel like it changed everything. I don't feel like it made a giant difference. So it's still a good movie, though. I can't say anything terrible about it. Folks, we're at the top 3. We're just past the 1 hour mark. So let's go from 4 to 16 just to recap. Zack Snyder's Justice League at 4. Shazam at number 5. Blue Beetle at number 6. Man of Steel at number 7. Batman vs. Superman at number 8. Wonder Woman 84 at number 9. Suicide Squad at 10. Justice League at 11. Birds of Prey at 12. Flash at 13. Black Adam at 14. Aquaman Lost Kingdom at 15. And at bottom, Shazam Fury of the Gods. Folks, we're at the top 3. If you're still here, thank you so much. It means the world to me. Hit that like button, please. If you could, that'd be greatly appreciated. Let me know you like this video. I'll do some more top 10s and some ranked. I know I've got a ranked coming up around Halloween. But yeah, if you like this, hit that like button. It means a ton to me. It shows me that you like these videos, and I will do more like this. And if you don't like them, too bad. I'm probably going to do more of them. Top 3. Let's get into it. The Suicide Squad. Folks, if you've not seen The Suicide Squad, you are missing out on a fun movie. This took what Suicide Squad did and blew it up, literally. What can I say about this movie? Let's start from the beginning. The cast. Idris Elba and John Cena are hilarious co-stars of this movie. Having Rick Flag back in it from the original Suicide Squad was nice. He's kind of forgettable, though. Like, I honestly forget what the ending is. Spoilers. Polka Dot Man was hilarious. One of my favorite villains in a movie. I honestly have thought about cosplaying him because the way they do that, his character is hilarious. A starfish for a villain. The thought of having a starfish for a villain is, as a comic book fan, it makes a whole ton of sense, because if you've seen him in the comic books, you understand it's basically it's body snatchers all over again, but as a starfish. So it works. But for an average person, it makes no sense, which makes it perfect for this movie. Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, again, knocking it out of the park with this, and having her not focus her entire movie on the Joker makes it so much better. Makes it such a better movie. And by the way, that is something I should have said about the original Suicide Squad movie. Having Joker in there, why? Not needed. You shoehorned, which is like a shoehorn. You shoehorned him into it. Wasn't needed. End of story. And wasted. This movie, she's on her own. I love it. She doesn't mention him, but she's on her own. John Cena as Peacemaker, standout role. Made him such a good. He's already a great actor, but him in that role is perfect. If you haven't seen the Peacemaker series, go find it, go watch it. It's hilarious. The only problem I have with this movie is I'm sorry, Idris Elba should have been Deadshot. I know Will Smith was it in the past movie, and I know they just didn't want to recast him, but I think Idris Elba would have done a better job. Will Smith is great. I said earlier, Will Smith is great as Deadshot, but I think Idris Elba basically played another version of Deadshot, and they should have just called him it, personally. But such a great movie. I've seen it. I've seen it at least 3 times. I've watched that opening prison scene where they walk around and meet everybody. Even Ratcatcher is hilarious in the movie. I gotta admit, King Shark. Like, let's not even forget King Shark's in this movie, voiced by Sylvester Stallone. Like, come on, it's a great movie. Go watch it. I can't say anything bad about it. Number 2, Aquaman 1. Folks, if you told me they were going to make a big budget Aquaman movie and they were going to shoehorn every single reference and thought that they've ever wanted to put into an Aquaman movie into one movie, I would have said no. I would have said, nope, that's too much. They're never going to do that. If they're going to do one, they're going to do a 1 hour and a half, quick origin story, done, and that's going to be it. No, they blew it out of the freaking water with this movie, literally, and that is pun intended. Momoa plays this perfect, in my opinion. The second one is a different story. This is obviously not the Aquaman that a lot of people remember. This is more the 90s Aquaman, where he's a little more, well, he's more of a fisherman, I would say, than what he is in the 90s or in the modern era, where he's got just the spiked up blonde hair instead of the beard and long. I loved it. You had Black Manta as a villain. You had the Deep, which was amazing, especially if you've read the new DC, the new 52 run of Aquaman. That was really cool seeing the trench in there and all the creatures coming up trying to get Aquaman when he's in the darkness. The characters were all good, having the big underwater battle, having Ocean Master. It was a great movie, and it made it even better that I ended up seeing it in IMAX with my buddy Sean, who is a giant Aquaman fan and has the tattoo on his arm. We saw it in IMAX opening night at the premiere in Toronto. I won tickets, and Ocean Master, Black Manta, and the director were all there, so that made it even better. But seeing this movie in IMAX was so cool. Giant screen, giant action. Momoa, again, blows it out of the water. Great movie. If you've not seen it, if you're like, Aquaman, I don't care. Dude, you're missing out. You're missing out on a great movie from a great... This was the high point, I feel, of the entire DCEU. Natasha in chat is obviously excited for what number 1 is. And folks, I think you can kind of tell. Wonder Woman number 1, without a doubt. What can be said about this movie that hasn't been said before? This was one that I expected almost nothing from, because I didn't think they would give it the time, the effort, everything that it needed, and they did it so well. Let's start out. Gal Gadot. No one expected Gal Gadot to do this well. Everyone that I saw her. Everyone saw her and went, no. The exact same way everyone said about Michael Keaton being Batman. Every time any one of these announced, they're all, oh no, it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. She is incredible in this movie. The fish out of water that she plays in this movie is perfect. She plays it strong. She plays it curious. She plays it heartfelt. She wants to fit in, but she understands that she's not of this world. The no man land scene is incredible. incredible. If you have a little girl in your life who has not seen this movie and is of the age of 10, watch this movie with them. It is such an empowering movie. It was an empowering movie for me to watch, to see a character stand up against all odds. This was the female character that we as a generation needed. I feel like if they dropped the ball on this one, it was going to be very hard for anyone to try and do another female-led story. I feel like this was their Hail Mary, and they hit it perfect. I don't know what else to say besides going through every single frame of this movie and showing you that it is almost a perfect comic book movie. The ending, the ending's a CG fight. Guess what, folks? 95% of them are now. I can't critique it anymore when that becomes a norm. Like, I'm sorry. That's you going to a restaurant and wanting Coke, and they always have Pepsi and complaining. You keep going, you can't complain. So I can't complain about that. Wonder Woman was incredible. It was great. Before we jump out, that is the end of my list. I should have pulled this up beforehand, but I didn't, and I totally forgot. I asked you folks on my Instagram to let me know what you guys said were some of your favorite movies of the DCEU. We got a couple here. So we got JS from the Geeks & Co. He said his favorite is Justice League Snyder Cut. I see his reasoning for it. I know him and Jeff are big fans of that movie. Like I said, it's a good movie. I feel like, though, it makes the same problems as the original Justice League, but it is a better movie. I will give you that. Harley Quinn Cosplay said Birds of Prey. You know what? I feel like there are some big fans of that movie. It wasn't for me, but like I said, there are some great ones. She is Harley Quinn Cosplay, so it is definitely a good Harley Quinn movie. Tara in chat, the original Wonder Woman, knocked it out of the park. Definitely number one. Who do we have? We got Natasha here. She said Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey, they do count, but if not, it'd be Wonder Woman. Exactly. I knew you'd be happy with that one. And Edith says, I don't think Edith understood this. She put Batman Forever. I agree. Batman Forever should be high on this list. Unfortunately, it does not count in the DCEU. But yeah, that is how I would rank the DCEU. It is sad to see it go. I am excited to see what's going to come now. I have some concerns of some of the odd characters they're picking. I know they don't want to do with their Trinity that much. They don't want to do a lot of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman because it's done so much. They want to do some more side characters. And I think with the breakouts of, Peacemaker and Harley Quinn and stuff, they want to do more of those type movies and shows, which is good. But I hope they don't do what Marvel has been doing lately and getting a little too deep into their back catalog and pulling characters that'll even I, as a comic book fan, I'm kind of going, where did we see this character before? So I'm interested. I hope it does well because more of these movies is always going to be well. It keeps people employed, and I can't wait to see new versions of these characters. Folks, thank you again for sticking around. Like I said earlier, if you can hit the like button, that'd be great. It means a lot. Next week, do you all know what next week is? Next week is the 1 year anniversary of this show. I've been doing this show. I've been doing Monday Night Nerd for 1 whole year. 52 weeks I've been doing this show. And folks, to have this, have one person in chat and watching this means a lot to me. Getting an average of 30 views and having a bunch of you in chat means so much to me. Next week, I'm going to be talking all about the show, all about what I've learned from the show, some fails that you may have noticed, may not have noticed, where the show is going to go. There are some changes that I'm going to be doing next year or, following next week. I'm going to talk a little bit about the way I've laid this out, room wise and sort of tech wise, because I want people to understand that do I have 10 million subscribers? No. Do I, all that stuff. I see so many people do these breakdown videos of, well, I have a $10 billion camera and I have these $500 lights. And folks, you don't need all that. I don't have that here. I have a little setup here and I'm enjoying it. And hopefully one day I will have the, sponsorship and stuff to do these big things and have big tech. But right now, this is what I have and I think it works fine. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more next week, the 1-year anniversary of Monday Night Nerd. Folks, thank you for tuning in. I hope you had a great night. I will see you next week. Have fun this week. Enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.